in terms of which areas are busy, I mean, almost all areas. It's kind of the perfect storm for lawyers at the moment, and it has been since throughout 2021. It's the same going into 2022. You've got on the transactional side, private equity teams were hiring like crazy last year. And, we did see sign-on bonuses, aggressive hiring. We saw quite a bit of movement from Magic Circle to US firms because the Magic Circle lawyers are working 24/7. They may as well work 24/7 and get paid more for it, which has then seen a rise in Magic Circle pay to try and retain them. And that's so yeah. I mean, so private equity and M&A especially, IPOs, capital markets, been very busy. You've got delisting from the US stock exchange and relisting here. You've got SPACs now being approved. From what we hear, the SPACs have already generated a lot of work. So we're actually seeing now capital markets teams be busier than M&A and PE to an extent. Also, arbitration has, as I mentioned last year, was busy, and it's still the case. It's still becoming much preferred method of dispute resolution. And of course, we've signed an agreement in the Greater Bay Area, which again should lead to more work here. And the disputes is still busy because although private equity firms, although banks and those kind of businesses are very busy, and some of them are having their best ever years. Or hedge funds as well. If you look at other areas in the commerce and industry sector, logistics, for example, they are not doing well. And so there's a ton of litigation that's being generated from that, and arbitration as well. So you've got the transactional side and the dispute side both being busy, which is not that common. They tend to both, work in they tend to both be at different stages of the economic cycle normally. But in this case, they're both very busy at the same time, which is quite rare. Areas that are busy, global markets is very busy. Most of the banks and the securities firms are still very busy in that area. So are hedge funds. Hedge funds have been hiring quite aggressively. We've seen a number of general counsel appointments for hedge funds. Some of them are making their first hires in APAC. We've seen hedge funds spinning off Asian hedge funds. It's kind of, that's a very busy area. That's attracting lawyers from banks who then need to be backfilled from global markets. Their cryptocurrency companies prefer those kind of lawyers as well. If they're often exchanges, so they want lawyers who are familiar with sales and trading on an exchange, and they often like to offer derivatives, which again, they need lawyers to do that. So they're paying some unbelievable amounts of money to get lawyers. As are the funds. There's a talent war going on. That means that salaries and buybacks are huge at the moment, and it's continually going up. Right? Milbank have just announced a further hike. No doubt the other US firms who are on the so-called cravat rate are going to follow them as well. So it's like I say, across the board pretty much. We're not, there's not an area particularly that's suffering. Every area is busy.